I guess, yeah. Before that, are there any questions about the first section of my workshop? If there are any questions or comments, it'd be good to like get them through first. Then we'll move on to the next section. Hope everyone had a little bit of a break. Just like chat here.
Feel free to unmute yourselves as well.
Yeah, feel free to just talk. It's fine. If you have any questions about the first part, the presentation part of all the theory that I was going through, if there are any questions, just feel free to ask. Let's get them over with first, and then we'll move on to the next section. No questions? No questions. Okay. I guess we just move on then. So let's actually learn Inkscape and learn what the presentation I was talking about, how to do all of that. Also, I think at the end, I'll share the presentation with everyone here, everyone on consultants. So when you're doing your actual projects, you can reference the presentation I was making. And also our my workshop will be also uploaded, so you can just rewatch it. Okay.
Can you share your screen right now, or is it?
Yeah, I can share my screen. Let's get on with the Inkscape. Share screen. Here we go. All right.
Okay, cool.
So, is everyone opening Inkscape right now? Did anyone like not install this? We can wait for people installing Inkscape. If everyone's installed Inkscape, we'll just begin. So, can we see if I guess everyone can confirm in chat that they've installed Inkscape, that they have it running?
Yeah, just a yes in chat would be good.
Yeah, that'll be great. Just so we can all confirm everyone has Inkscape. Yes, yes, yes. All right, perfect. So everyone has Inkscape. That's great. Now we can get to work. Can everyone see the screen I'm sharing right now? It's I have an older version of Inkscape, but everything should work the same for the newer ones as well. Okay, let's begin then. So a couple of things for Inkscape. Before we actually start, I would like to explain that Inkscape is a vector graphics software. So does anyone here not know what that is? Like, do we need to break down what a vector graphics software is? Or is everyone familiar with that? It'd be good to have some responses in chat. I don't know. Just what are you guys' all of your experience with graphics design and vector software? Does anyone of you have no experience or some experience or never heard of what it is? Please, it'd be good to give some responses in chat so I can kind of see what to explain first. I have no experience. Heard of vector, but don't know how it works. Okay. All right, I guess that's all the responses for now. So I'll go over with what a vector graphic software is and how it works. So what we're seeing here, what we're using here is called Inkscape. It's an open source vector graphic design software. And by vector graphics, usually when you think about graphics and computer graphics, you think about pixels. However, in vector graphics, there's no pixel. There's no the processor itself, like the software itself, does not process everything in pixels. You only get pixels once you export your picture into PNG or into like other image formats. But in this editor itself, there are no pixels. So usually with something that has pixels, you would think when you zoom in enough, you'll be able to see the pixels. But no, because vector graphic softwares work by having lines, and the lines are represented in the computer as mathematical objects, and the lines would be borders for shapes. And then the shapes themselves will be filled with color or be transparent, that type of stuff. But vector graphic software work off of lines and not pixels, which means inside the software itself, it's fully scalable. Sorry, apologies. So if you look at something like a shape here, I can make a shape, color it, and normally if it's something that has pixels, you would think when you zoom in enough, you would see pixels. Actually, this isn't a really good representation. We have like a diagonal line. So usually you would think there are pixels, but because it's vector graphics, no matter how much you zoom into it, there are no pixels, because the computer in this software doesn't think of anything as pixels. They think of things as lines represented by mathematical equations. So the more you zoom into it, the line just expands. There are no pixels in vector graphics design. So that brings you some advantages. It makes it very scalable. You could design something and you can export it into any sort of resolution you want. It can be 10,000 pixels by 1,000,000 pixels. And you will get a very, very clear image. So that's the advantage of vector graphics design. It's very scalable. When you make something, you can export it into any size, and it would be clear in any size. So yeah, that's why we're using Inkscape. The other reason we're using Inkscape is that unlike pixel-based graphics softwares like Photoshop, you can move everything around like shapes, because everything is calculated using the lines. You could just move the lines around and everything would move. It's like a paper collage. When you make a collage out of paper, you cut the pieces and then you can move the pieces around before gluing them down. And that exporting process is like gluing everything together. But before you do that, you can move everything around. Unlike with Photoshop or something, you have to crop and you have to select components. You have to like select what pixels to move. This, you just move around the shapes. So I feel it's a lot more intuitive than pixel-based design. Vector is much more intuitive for something like this. Okay, so let's actually get to the controls. Does everyone has Inkscape open now, right? Can we get a response in chat? Everyone has Inkscape open and they're like a page loaded up, right? Yes. Yes. Okay, seems like most people have their Inkscapes open. So you will see a canvas like this, but again, because it's vector and it's just shapes, the canvas actually doesn't matter. So you could draw outside of the canvas as well and just select what to export. But that's really besides the point right now, because any shape, any size could be exported to any shape, any size. So the canvas really isn't that important. But yeah, since we're talking about using lines to create shapes and using like colors to fill inside the line, let's start by creating some shapes. So there are 3 important tools for creating shapes on your taskbar. I'm not sure how it'll look on the more recent Inkscapes. However, I know the name of the tools. So for creating shapes, you have this one, which looks like a square. This is the most basic one. It's called Create Rectangles and Squares. This, of course, if you click on it, will just create rectangles and squares. So you just click and drag, and you would make rectangles and squares of any shape, and size. And how to select colors? Well, these are all yellow right now, but you can see on the bottom bar, there's this line of different colors. So these are the pre-made made by the computer, but there are also ways to create your own colors, but let's not worry about that for now. When you make these shapes, you then fill it with color, obviously, and you just click on the bottom bar and give different things different colors when you select them. So the top tool here, the cursor, is your select tool. So you can select something, and you can see the select box get over it, and then now you can change colors. Yeah. So that's our first shape creating tool, the rectangle and square tool, where you create rectangles and squares. How do you create a perfect square? Because you can see the mouse dragging. It's hard to create a perfect square. So to create a perfect square, you hold Control, and your dragging will be either perfect squares or perfect ratios. Yeah, hold Control to make perfect squares. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the rectangle and squares tool, because that's really the simplest one, and that'll be also the one that you probably use the most. And when you want to delete a shape, if you don't like the shape, just select it with the top tool, the Select and Transform tool, and press backspace. So also, since it's Select and Transform, once you selected it, you can also move it. So yeah, you don't like the shapes, press backspace, or you can move them, or just press backspace. So yeah, that's our first tool, our create rectangles and squares tool. However, what if you don't want a rectangle, but you want a circle or an oval or ellipse? Here, there's a tool underneath, the squares tool. There's the create circles, ellipses, and arcs tool. So click on that one. And then once you've clicked on that one, you then can drag out ellipses and circles. So with just the free mouse drag, you can make circles and ellipses of any sort of shape. And just like the squares, you press Control, and you'll be able to make perfect circles. So yeah, it's just hold and drag, just like the rectangle one. And to make perfect circles, it's just like making perfect squares. Hold Control to drag. I guess I'll give everyone like 5 minutes to try out and experiment with these two. So yeah, I'll just give you guys 5 minutes. Give you all 5 minutes. Try out the square tool and the rectangle tool. Okay. Did everyone get a chance to try it out? Just you can respond in chat. Has everyone tried out the two? Yes? Okay. So yeah, those two are very important, because if you want to make a graphic, for example, like an Instagram post, think about this. Usually Instagram posts are square, right? So you start using the rectangle square tool. You hold down Control to make a square, and then you can put circles on top. Put it some other color. But yeah, you can put circles on top like this. And now you have something that looks vaguely like a block of cheese. But yeah, so that's the square and the rectangle tool. They're extremely important for making basic shapes because most of the shapes are going to end up being squares and rectangles and maybe some circles. All right, so that's that. You can also select a bunch of things at once. When you're in the select and transform tool, you can just box select and you can delete all of them at once. All right, so that's the square and the circle tool. Now we get to irregular shapes. So what happens when you want, actually no, before irregular shapes, sorry, we need to get to the hexagon and the polygon tool. So basically this is the same as the square and the circle tool, except it's for creating things like hexagon. So select that. It's the one that has the hexagon, the pentagon, the star. It's right underneath the circles. This is also very, very. So you click on it, and then now on the top bar, you get to select either a polygon or a star. So I would select polygon, and then on top you can see next to the polygon selection, there's also the corner number. So 6 corners makes you a hexagon, obviously. You can see hexagon. And I don't know, we can do 5 corners. That's a pentagon. We can do, I don't know, 7. So I think you can do 7 corners. You can do 8 corners. So yeah, you can, like, I don't know, let's do a 3 corner. That would just make your triangle, an equilateral triangle. And if you do like 10 corners, that would make you get something with 10 corners, a decagon. I think that's what it's called. So yeah. Type in like any number of corners and you would get a polygon with that number of corners. You could do 7 for this one. So you have 6, you have 7, you have 8. So yeah, that's the polygon tool. And also like the polygons, you can also do star. So just select the star one. You do a 7-pointed star. You can make it 6-pointed, or 5-pointed. You know, any sort of number of points you can do. So yeah, that is the star and polygon tool. They work very similarly to the square and the circle one as well. You just have to type in the number of corners and whether you want a polygon or you want a star. So yeah, that's that. And but those are all regular shapes. What if you want an irregular shape? That's where things that are really interesting is this one right here. It's not the pencil. It's the one underneath the pencil. It's a Bezier tool. So the one right underneath the pencil and above the calligraphy. That one is very important because that's the one you use to make irregular shapes and irregular lines. So right here, the Bezier tool. So this right here, once you select it, it works in an interesting way. Every time you click, you make a node. So if you want something that looks like a, I don't know, like a blob, for example, you can do this. You click for the first time, you see a node is just made. And then a line comes out of the node. If you want to make a blob, like an irregular shape, you just click again, and that line gets joined. And you click a bunch of times in different places, and then you go back to the original place, and you click on the red. And now you have a completely irregular shape. And if you want, and now you want to fill it with a color, you just select the color. And there you go. You just made a blob. I'll make it green. And however, your blob looks really sharp and not very blobby. It's very angular. So all the nodes you just made, those are actually editable. So after using the Bezier tool, the best friend to the Bezier tool is the node editor tool. which is right underneath the select tool, right here, this one, edit paths by nodes. This is probably one of the most important tools in Inkscape. And every time you make something with the Bezier tool, if you want to edit it, you use this node editing tool right here. You click on it, and so basically you click on the node editor, and now you select the object. You click on the object you want to edit with all the nodes. So the Bezier tool makes the node, and this one edits the node. Now you see all the nodes. Once you click on it, you see all the nodes, and you can drag them around. That's just one thing. Once you drag them around to the desired location, I'll keep them in the original place. You can round them out. So let's do a select, box select, select all the nodes here, because we want a blob. So we want something that looks pretty rounded. We select all the nodes, see all the nodes turn blue. That means they're all selected. Now you can see there are different types of nodes. The current node it has is a corner, this one right here, the one that looks sharp. However, you want this to be rounded because you want it to be a blob, right? So you use this one, auto smooth. Make selected nodes auto smooth on the top bar, and then click on that, and boom, all of your corners have just become smooth nodes. And right now, when you go back, it's a blob. It doesn't have the angles anymore. So yeah, that's the auto smooth. And if you want them to be corners again, you can go back to corners and you can reset them. However, usually it's hard to do, so just press Ctrl Z if you do this by accident. Yeah, that's the auto smooth. And after it's also auto smooth, you can also drag things around. Drag each individual node around, and it'll stay smooth. The mask will like try to fight the corners. And yeah, that's the auto smooth nodes. Again, let's do this again. We make some sort of triangle, I guess. This is a triangle. Let's give it a color. Go to the bottom bar, give it a brownish color, I don't know, red. And we want the triangle to not be a triangle anymore. We want to smooth it out. So we go to the node editor tool, we click on the triangle, we select all the nodes, and we do auto smooth, and boom, it's just got smooth. And if you want to have a combination of a smooth node and corner nodes, it's a triangle again. However, what if you just want one side to be smooth, but the other side to be corners? Well, you just select one of them. You select the top one, for example, and you click auto smooth for that one. And now you have a shape that looks kind of like a dome or a semicircular shape, because that top one is smooth, but the side two are still corners. So that's for using the Bezier line to make shapes. But you can also make individual lines with the Bezier. So you can make a line, just one place to another. But now you can't just go back to make a shape. You just press Enter. So before you finish it by looping back, you just press Enter, and it turns into just a line. And this line, you can make it with multiple nodes. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can wind it all you want, and then press Enter. And this line would spawn in like this. And then you can also edit the node on the line with the node editing tool. So now you can edit the nodes on the line. This line, of course, doesn't have the same enclosedness as the shapes, but they're also made with the Bezier tool. So yeah, that's basically all the tools you'll need to make shapes. Now let's go over some of the movement of the shapes. You saw me drag the shapes around, so obviously you use the select and transform. You select the shapes you want to drag, and you just drag them around. That's the easiest form of movement. But what if you want movement that is in a single direction, for example, just up? Then you do the same dragging. However, when you drag, you hold Control. Just like when you were making squares or making perfect circles, you want to hold control. When you hold control and then drag, you drag in perfectly straight lines or sideways. It just locks. So you drag in perfectly straight lines when you hold control. So that's how you move things more precisely. And then when you want to move things for very short distances, you use arrow keys. Arrow keys move your thing a little step at a time. So once you have it selected, you just use arrow keys. You can move the thing a little bit at a time. So that's when you want even more precision. Arrow keys. And normal dragging with control on. And you have the arrow keys. So that's how you move the shapes around after you've created them. And now, since you know how to create shapes and you know how to edit their nodes, we can get into a little bit more detail about how to color them and how to change the outline. So you can see all of the shapes right now we made have these little black outlines, which in flat design usually looks really ugly. So there's a way to get rid of those. And also, you see the line here. Maybe you want a different color. Maybe you want the line to be thicker. So how do we edit the borders of things? Well, basically, you want to have the fill and stroke window open, which gives you the editing options for the fill, which is the color inside of shapes, and the stroke, which is the outline. So press Control Shift and F, and then the little window will appear. I have the window already on the side of my screen, on the right bottom of my screen, but press Control Shift F to get this out. If anyone's having trouble, you could put it in the chat. Did everyone have that out? Everyone has the fill and stroke window out. Okay. Waiting for a few more people. Control Shift F to bring out the fill and stroke window. Okay, I'm pretty sure everyone's got it by now, I guess. Okay, let's keep going then. So once you have the fill and stroke window open, you can now click on, for example, I don't like this outline border for the blob, because blobs probably shouldn't have borders. So how do we get rid of that? We click on the blob, and you can see right now immediately it goes to the fill, and the fill is the color inside. So right now I'm on HSL or RGB. You can have sliders, and these sliders you can use to adjust the fill color. I'm on RGB right now, and you can see I'm changing the red value. Sorry, I'm changing the red value, and the blob is changing color. So you can use this to adjust, but I really don't like the border. So how to get rid of that? Well, we had fill. Fill is full right now, you can see. But there's also stroke paint. Do you see this? Stroke paint. We click on stroke paint, and now you can see the stroke is black, and it correlates the border outline stroke on the blob. So how do we get rid of it? There's this cross right here that says no paint. You click on the no paint, and boom, no more border. Yay. There we go. The border is gone. Same with the other one. You click on the other one. You're in the stroke paint window here, and you click no paint. No stroke, no paint. No paint. There we go. Now you have these shapes with no more outlines. So that's very helpful. However, what about lines? When you have these lines with no outline, they would just disappear, right? So what if you want them to be thicker? or have some sort of color you want? Well, it's also in the stroke paint. You're already in the stroke paint menu right now. You click on this thing, and you can change its color. Use the RGB dragger again, or the HSL, depends on what type of, or color wheel. You can use the color wheel, CMYK, but I prefer RGB. Whichever way you do the color edits is up to you. But yeah, you can drag around the sliders and you can change the color right here of this border, this line. However, the line's still a little bit stiff. So how do we make it stiff? Well, then we go to stroke style. We go to this one right here, stroke style. So next is stroke paint. Stroke paint changes the color. You saw the sliders, changes the color. Now we can go to stroke style, and there's a width option. If you see here, width option, you can type that in, and let's do 1 millimeter, and boom, you see the line is thicker. We can do even thicker. We can do 5 millimeters, and it's even thicker. 10 millimeters, even thicker. So you can see that stroke style is how you used to adjust. Like, go back to 0.2 again. It was like before, 0.2, very thin, not as thicker. You can delete some stuff and you can make it 20 and it'll be much thicker, like this. So that's how you make lines change in thickness. And also in stroke style, there are dashes, so you can select them. You can select different types of lines. So normal solid line, this is what I have. We go back to 5, it'll be a little better. So we have the solid line, which is the default. If you want to change it to some sort of dash, you can do that. Right here in stroke style, select whichever one you want, and the top one is the solid line. So yeah, that's how you use the fill and stroke tool. You use the fill to adjust the colors inside of shapes, and use the stroke color, the stroke paint to adjust the strokes color, and you use the stroke style to adjust the thickness and to adjust things like if it's a dotted line or if it's a solid line. So yeah, that's basically all for making all of the shapes and all of the lines. Now, what about text? Because when you make something like a poster, or when you make an Instagram post, or when you make anything basically that includes text, you need text itself. So how do we create text? Well, that part is pretty trivial to say. It's very similar to creating shapes. There's this create and edit text objects tool. If you see right here, this right here is the thing you want to use to create text. So you select that, and then you drag out a text box. So where do you want the text to be? Let's have our text here. Or actually, let's have our text inside the block. So now you click and drag to make a text box, like such. Do you see? It's creating a text box. And now you let go, and now you have a box that has text on the that you can type inside. So now you can type something. I don't know, let's type this is a blob and it is green. So yeah, there'll be text right here. However, sometimes your text may seem a little bit small, or maybe it's not the right font you want. So press Ctrl+A to select all the text, and you can change your font up here in the top left corner. There's this selector here, and you can change it to any sort of text font face you want. So we could do something like a lot of these I installed from the internet, but like a default one that everyone will have. We can do Microsoft Himalaya, well, for Windows users. But yeah, that's the font size, and you can do like different font sizes. We can do anything basically. And then after adjusting to the font you want, maybe it's a little bit small. So now you increase the size. It's next to the font selector. There's the size. And you just put in whatever size. And when you have larger size, there's a problem. Your text is overlapping. So now, to fix so right now that's the text font size, but now it's overlapping because they got bigger. You need to adjust the line spacing. So spacing between baselines. So we can type in 20 millimeters. That's too much. 5 millimeters. Oh, sorry. 5 millimeters is too little. Do 10 millimeters. It's not enough. 15. Yeah, 15 is good. You can see the texts are not overlapping anymore. Oh wait, so 15. The texts are not overlapping anymore. So when you start with small text, let's go back. So when you start with small text and you increase its size, they'll start overlapping because the line spacing isn't enough. The line spacing is still for the small text. You just increase the line spacing, and boom, they're not overlapping anymore. So yeah, that's how you do text arrangements. However, maybe you don't like the color of the text. This is the wrong color for this image, maybe. So how do you change the text color? Well, that goes back to the fill and stroke menu. So you click on the text with the select tool, the top one, the cursor, the select tool. And now you simply go to fill, because the text is also a vector object, just like the blob is. So you can change the fill color. You go to fill, you click on the text, and you can just drag the slider around. It's camouflage right now, but you can make it red. You can make any color you want with the sliders. So yeah, that's basically the fundamentals of how to make text in Inkscape. So now you know how to make the different shapes, the lines, and the text. We're still missing a few pieces still though. We're still missing how to do how to combine objects together, and we're still missing how to do gradients. So as I was talking about, the 1970s style has a lot of gradients. So how exactly do we do a gradient? Well, a gradient fundamentally is just two colors that have a transition zone between them. So there must be a way to do this in Inkscape, and there is. So let's make this blob a gradient. So right now, you click on the blob again. You go to the fill and stroke tool again. I'm telling you, the fill and stroke tool is one of the most useful things. The fill and stroke tool, and you go to fill, just as always, because that's the color inside the blob is the fill. However, right now it's a solid shape. You can see flat color. If I hover over that, we want this to be a gradient. So what do? We click on this one, linear gradient. It says it right here. And after you select the blob, you click on the linear gradient. You go like this, and boom, you have a gradient. Gradient name 901. However, the other side is just facing the transparency right now. What if, I don't know, you want blue on the other side? So you click on this gradient, and then you go to this tool. Right here, this is the Create and Edit Gradients tool. So once you have the blob selected, you click on this, Create and Edit Gradient. Boom. And now you have something very important. You see this blue line in the middle. This blue line is your gradient line. It's the line that represents the transition. So select, and you can see on the line there are two nodes. There's one node over here, which is the solid color that you already have, which is this side. You can adjust this side. Once you click on the node. And then now, what about the other side? Because the other side is transparent, right? So if we click on the other node, like such, and there we go. We are now on the other node. We want this to not be transparent. There's this A slider. It means alpha or opacity. So right now it's at 0. You slide this all the way up to 55. And now the other side is not transparent anymore. And you can adjust the other side's color to any shade of color you want. You can see purple, you can see blue. So yeah, now we made the other side and we assigned the color. So click on this node for the other side, and obviously click on this node for this side, the other node for the other side. Now you're wondering, how do we can we move the gradient around? And the answer is yes. You could drag the nodes around and it would determine where the colors are. So you want the gradient to be from the diagonal. You could drag the one color node to one side of, and the other color node to the other side. You want it to go from top to down. You put one on top, one down, like such. So yeah, that's the basics to colors and to gradients. Is anyone lost right now? Let's do another check over with the chat. Did everyone follow what we're doing? Does anyone have questions? And please respond in the chat. Is everyone on the same page right now? Okay, that's good. Can you use more than 2 colors? Yes, there is a way to do more than 2 colors in this gradient editing. You just see the line, and you double click, and then you make another color. You double click and a new node will form, and then you can edit the new node to make another color. So you could create as many nodes as you want. Just double click on the line to create as many nodes as you want. Wait, sorry. Wait, it's not working. There we go. You can see here's another one. We can make it a different color. And here's another one. We can make it a different color. So yeah, you can double click on the gradient line to make as many nodes as you want, and you can assign all of them colors. Is everyone on the same page? Any more questions about this part? No more questions? Okay, guess we'll move on then. So yeah, now you learn how to make the shapes and all the colors and the line, and also assign the colors to the line. We can get to some more stuff that we were talking about flat design, and that was the grid. So right now there's no grid and everything is free, so you might not make as geometric and perfect shapes. So how do we turn on the grid? Well, in view, if you go to view, you can then turn on there's a top bar, there's view, and then you can turn on page grid, and boom, you now have a grid. And now when you sketch things with the Bezier tool, for example, your Bezier tool will be able to snap the grid. So now you can make shapes that are perfect geometric. Same with the box tools, the rectangle, it'll snap to the grid. Circle as well, you can snap it to the grid. And that's how you can make geometric shapes that are both irregular but also somewhat regular when it comes to the grid. You can make things snap to the grid. Also, when you move something, it'll snap the grid. So that's the page grid. It's very helpful. There's also the triangular grid, but my version of Inkscape is actually too old for it. But all of your Inkscape will have the triangular grid. Personally, I don't actually know how to turn it on, but you can all just look it up on the internet, I guess. My Inkscape's too old. I'm running a 2015 version for the triangular grid. However, it works the same way. You just when you sketch something, it'll snap, and you can snap the sketches to the grid. And to turn it off, you just go back to view, and you go to grid, and you click it again and turn off. All right, so that's the grid. Now I guess we can get to some more like graphical creation part. Let's talk about layering. So when you want to have multiple objects, for example, right here, this text is above, quote unquote, above the blob. But what if by accident the blob is actually above the text? Like what if we duplicated the blob and the blob is above? So what do? Right now the blob is above, it's covering the text. So that's messing with layering. You can go to the select tool again, and then now you can fix the layering. You see the 4 things here. It says lower selection 1 step, lower selection to bottom, raise selection 1 step, and raise selection to top. So now you can just select the blob and lower it by 1 step like such. Click on this, and boom, it'll now be underneath the text. So when you want to make something more complex, I don't know, let's try to make this, put this above. We can combine all the shapes. I don't know, we can try to make like 2 mountains, for example. Oh yeah, the other thing, when you want to duplicate a shape, duplicating shapes are easy in Inkscape. You select the shape and you do Control-D, and then now you have another shape. Say, what if you want to layer mountains, for example? Make some mountains. So Control-D to duplicate. So these are very bad, but it doesn't really matter for the demonstration. So, okay, you have some mountains now that are layered. So what if you want to move this back mountain up to the front? You just select this and you use the raise selection up 1 step or to top. It doesn't really matter. 1 step is just 1 step at a time. So now you have this mountain on top. You have to move it back, just lower selection 1 time, and then boom, boom. Yeah, that's layering. Also very important for when you want to make something. And I guess one more thing, since it'll go in nicely from layering, is clipping. So, for example, let's imagine this. What if you have a rectangle? This rectangle has a nice gradient, for example. You want to keep it, nice gradient. You like this gradient, for example. What if you want this rectangle, but what if you want it as a mountain? What if you want to make this mountain to have this gradient like this rectangle? Well, you don't actually necessarily have to recreate it. You could select a mountain. You make sure this mountain is above, so this doesn't work. You have to make sure the mountain is above the thing you want to clip. And then you select both. You select the rectangle, the background, and you select the clipping, the foreground, the tool. And now you go to Object, and you go to Clip. So go to top bar, go to Object, Clip, and then click Clip Set. So Object, Clip, Set. And once you do that, boom. The mountain, which was the tool for clipping, has clipped the background. And now basically made the background, but in the shape of the mountain, a cutout, basically a cutout of the background. So if you like something and you want to source it, but sometimes you don't want to recreate the entire thing, you can clip it. Same with this gradient. If you like this blob gradient, you can get one over here. But you really like it to be a circle. You can put the circle over it, make sure the circle's on top. And then now you click on the blob as well, but make sure you select both. Go Object, Clip, Set, and boom. You now have a nice looking kind of sunset looking circle. So yeah, that's clipping, and it also works with irregular shapes. So what if you want, maybe you like this gradient from the mountain, but you want it to be a blob. So let's make another blob. Put the blob on top. Make sure that the tool object is always on top, and the background object is always on the bottom. If you like this gradient, let's Object, Clip, Set, and boom. Now you have the blob with the gradient of that mountain. So yeah, that's clipping. It'll work with any sort of shape, irregular shapes, regular shapes. As long as it's a vector body, it'll be able to clip other vector bodies. So yeah, same with text actually. The text is also a vector body. So let's see, what if you like this blob gradient on the text? So put the text over. Oh no, the text underneath. So we must bring to the top. Click the Bring Selection to Top button. Now we have the text over the blob. We like the gradient. So what if we do Object, Clip, Set, and boom. Now the text has made a cutout of the blob and has the blob's gradient. So that's also clipping. You can do clipping with any sort of vector body. And remember, the tool body that determines the cutout is always on top, and the background is always on the bottom. So yeah, now we could create shapes, we can move shapes, we can color shapes, we can assign gradients to shapes, we can create text, and we can now also clip different shapes to extract different shapes out of different shapes. There's one last thing that I want to do before we get to the mini project part, and that is patterns. So what if you want to make a pattern of, say, squares? So I don't know, we could make a square, and then remember, duplicate is Control D, and then we move this square irregularly. I guess I'm just going to do a bad job at it right now because this will be the demonstration. So you move your squares around. They're irregular right now. But what if you want them to be in a regular pattern? So there's a tool for that actually. There's multiple ways to do it, but I'll show you guys the easy way. The Align and Distribute tool. So that tool is also accessible through a shortcut. Type in Control-Shift-A in your computer. It should pop up the same as the fill and stroke. Does everyone have Align and Distribute out this way? Control-Shift-A. Okay, I would assume probably everyone has it by now. So what if we have some like poorly laid out? Yeah, so some like poorly laid out squares, for example. So after you have the Align and Distribute tool, open it, and you can see a lot of things. We have Align, which will align everything. We have Distribute, which will spread out everything evenly. And we have Rearrange, which is more for like patterns, for more complex patterns. But for something like this, if you want a linear pattern where all the squares are perfectly spaced, you just use the Align, you just use the Distribute tool, sorry. So actually, let's have them like irregularly spaced in this axis as well. So first of all, obviously you want to select them, and they're not in a line. So you want to align them. You want to let's make them align in a horizontal line first. So we have the Align tool, go to top, and then there's a Center on Horizontal Axis. Do you see this one? In the Align tool, there's one that says Center on Horizontal Axis, and it looks like a bunch of things with a horizontal line, red line going through. So after you selected all the cubes, the squares, you click on center on horizontal axis, and then boom, they're all in one single horizontal axis now. So that's half your job done. Now you want them to be evenly spaced. So how do we do that? There's distribute, and we can do distribute centers equidistantly horizontally. So once you click on that, boom, now they are perfectly distributed and aligned. So this will make a cool pattern. So yeah, that's how you make simple geometric repeating patterns with shapes. You just duplicate them, and then you use the align and the distribute tools. So yeah, that would probably be all of the toolkits that you'll need for today. And it's already also almost an hour now. So yeah, I guess that'll be the end of this section of my workshop. But before we go for another break, let's actually have the votes right now. So the next hour, after starting at around 5, we'll have a mini project, which will be all of you making a logo for some sort of fictional company or some sort of funny company. So does anyone have suggestions? So before we go for the break, does anyone have suggestions on the mini project and what kind of companies or what kind of organization you all want to make a logo for using Inkscape with the toolkit that I've shown you? Anyone with any ideas of companies or organizations to make logos? I guess actually, we'll take a break right now to probably 5 p.m. and then after the break, we can have some ideas. I had the idea of doing the Krusty Krab as the mini project topic. So everyone make either a logo or some sort of promotional material for the Krusty Krab from SpongeBob. But any sort of idea goes. Fictional companies, real companies, memes. It could be anything. But yeah, I guess I'll give you all the break to think about this. And once we come back, we can share our ideas and we can see whose ideas we go on. All right. I guess we'll just do the break right now. Okay. Is everyone back from the break? Just get a confirmation. Okay. All right. I guess we can start. If everyone's back, we're still missing Elizabeth and missing. So does anyone have any ideas on what to do? Or we could just do the Krusty Krab. No ideas. Does anyone have ideas? I would like to have like ideas from the people participating, so we get something more interesting. But we could always just do the original idea. I don't really like doing the Krusty Krab. I don't know, Caden really likes it, but it'd be great for other ideas to have some sort of precedence. I don't know. I can wait a few more minutes, if you all are able to think of an idea, but I don't know. Just feel free. Any sort of idea could be very stupid. Yeah, I think since like Caden's telling me, like, I guess because there aren't any other ideas, I think we should just do the Krusty Krab then. Some sort of either some sort of logo or a promotional advertisement poster, basically anything related. You can do a simplified logo for the company. You can do a redesign. You can do a flag for it. You can do a like a promotional poster or advertisement for it. I don't really care what you do, but it'd be good to make it in Inkscape. And then once you're done, I'll teach all of you how to export Inkscape files, and then we'll be done. So just I guess I'll do half an hour for this mini project for everyone to just do something fast. And then after you're done the mini project, it'll be great if all of you can share your screens and write like a small explanation of how everything is supposed to do and how everything's supposed to work, like like how you did it, I guess. And then after everyone's shared their mini projects, I'll teach all of you how to export your files to actual PNGs or like usable images, and then we'll be done. So yeah, I guess a half-hour timer. I'm just going to put one up and I'll stream it. Let's go to half-hour timer. 30-minute timer. Okay. So let me stream this. Share screen. Stream this one. Okay. You can all see it now. Let me just, I'm just going to keep this on. All right, 30 minutes. Well, we'll come back and then everyone will share your screen and explain like the things we the things you did and you made for the crusty crab. And yeah, we'll go over everything and we'll have some fun talking about each of our designs. Actually, I'm not going to make one, but like we'll have some fun talking about each other's designs, and then we will. I'll teach all of you how to export your design. So yeah, 30 minutes already started. If anyone of you need more time after 30 minutes, you can just put it in chat, and then I'll just give you more time. This isn't really supposed to be a deadline, but I think 30 minutes should be enough. So yeah, I'll go take a break, and thank you for listening all the way till now, and good luck on your little projects. Mhm. 我现在他们在做一个东西呢，现在还有57秒，我还没完呢。啊？什么？煮饺子？完了，现在不能吃，还需要按个半个小时。嗯。是吗？行。还有30秒。Hello, everyone. I think the timer just went. So, is everyone still here, or does anyone need more time? Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Still haven't got a response from OddCoder. Are you done? Okay. Perfect. So everyone appears to be finished. That's very nice. I guess if any one of you want, we can uh like get everyone to share their screen, and then I guess to write out or to present like a small description of what happened and what the design was, and then we'll export. I'll teach all of you how to export stuff on Inkscape, and we'll be done. Um, so I guess is everyone fine with sharing their screen? I'm just asking. If not, I'll just teach how to export, and then we can start like a Google Drive folder or something, and then we could put them in. Or it'd be fine if you anyone if you don't want to share it, you don't have to share it. If all of you aren't okay with sharing screens, I can just do the explanation of how to export right now. Oh, okay. I was just saying, uh, if is anyone like if anyone is uncomfortable with sharing the screen, I can go directly to teaching all of you how to export your images, and then we could just share them in chat. Sorry, I think it's me cutting out right now. I'm gonna turn up the gain on my mic. So yeah, if everyone's fine with sharing their screens, we could share to each other our designs first, like you guys' designs, and then you all can then, like, I guess, like, share to each other, and then we will then go into the part where I teach all of you how to export. But if someone here is not comfortable with sharing the screen, we could do the export right now, and then we could share their we could share each other's stuff on the chat. It's all of your choice. Up to you all. I think the chat's coming really slow. Some sort of delay. Okay, that's nice. I guess we'll just go by order on my screen. Then Hannah, if you're fine with sharing first, you could just share your screen and you could either describe it by voice or describe it in the chat. Ah, yes. Okay. So we have, is this like a promotional image for the restaurant? You have your align and distribute. The UI looks a little bit different with the new. Hello. Okay, so it's a poster. Nice. I mean, you could have aligned the pieces on the bottom a little bit better, but not bad. This is a good start. This is very good. It will definitely help with the. So yeah, that's good. You could, I guess, who's next? Let me go back to the screen. Yeah. Okay. It was Karina second. Karina, you were, yeah, you're the second one on the screen. So yeah, can you please share your screen as well? I'm just curious with everyone as well. It'd be great to everyone to share with them. Okay. Uh, is it not available right now? Sorry, I'm not sure if all of you are hearing me correctly. Okay, okay. I guess Karina's computer seems to be unresponsive right now. Uh, oh, it's not letting you share. Hmm. We can. Is a share screen on the bottom? What's it saying? Is it saying that you need some sort of verification or like only specific members can share? Oh, I see. I guess yeah, no problem. I'll just go over how to export after. So Elizabeth, if you're available to share right now, you can do it. And if you're not, we can do it. Ah, nice. So this is a logo, is it?
Yeah. So can you see it?
Cool. So it's a simplified logo. You got the crab kind of look. You got the circle in the middle, and this is very cool. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. I guess if no one has no other people have comments on these, yeah. Thank you for sharing, everyone. Yeah. Let's get to the next part. Very nice job. Let's get to the next part. So let me just have something ready. Open. Okay. Inkscape is launched. Allow to share screen. Yeah. All right. So now I'll go over the exporting, the last part of how to use Inkscape. All right. So we have ourselves random picture, I guess. We can just do this for random font. Okay. So yeah, we have our picture that we want to export right here on the screen. And now we could this is like, let's just pretend it's done. We want to export it. So now you select the parts you want to export. So you want the text and you want the background. So select them all. You have all of this selected. And then now you go to File, Export PNG Image. So File, Export PNG Image with whatever. So select it first. Select what you want to export first, and File, Export PNG Image. And then you can export as. So you can select the file, the place, the folder to export to, and then you can put the name in. So click export as, set it up, and then since it's export selection, you then change your image size. So how many pixels across do you want your image to be? Right now, mine is at 2,124, but since it's vector, remember, vector is fully scalable. You can export it as anything. You can do 200 pixels, or you can do 2 million pixels. It doesn't really matter. You can export it as any size you want. Obviously, one pixel by one pixel is just going to be a singular color. That's the average of everything. But you can export it as basically any sort of image size, as long as you go to the selection. So top, you select the selection, and then that'll export your selection. You determine your image size by doing the width and the height, and then you export as. You select the name and you select the file location. And then once you're done all of that, you click this button right here for export. You click it, and then it'll export. And then you'll see a green bar come up. And then once you're done exporting, you can go to the place you selected. However, there is one thing that we have to consider, and that is Inkscape is exports only in PNG. So there will not be any white background. So if you have like a colored text, for example, and you export right now, it'll just export the text. Since you're in export selection, it'll just export the text. It will not export a white background. So if you want any sort of background, you actually have to make the background itself. So let's go to let's make ourselves just a small white background. So here, now we have a white background. We can put the white background on the bottom. And now you select the background and the text to export a white background. So that's just one thing to consider. The white background that comes with the Inkscape UI does not actually include the white background itself. It'll be transparent unless you put an actual white background behind. Other than that, you just select everything you want to export. So go to export, select the selection button, and then change your image size, your pixel size, and then you export. And that'll be all for exporting. And that's it, I guess. That's it for my workshop as well. That's everything. So we learned some of the theory stuff, and then we went over Inkscape, and now you know how to make an image, you know how to make the shapes, and you know how to export it. That'll be all. That'll be all you need really for websites and stuff. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. I guess in the end we can all put our images on the chat, everyone, once you're done exporting.
Yeah, that would be good. And you know, if you guys have any other questions for Peter, now would be the time
Oh
to
yeah,
ask.
that's also that. Ask questions.
Yeah.
As many as you want. I'm free till like 3
And I mean,
a.m. today. So
if you want to see some of the stuff he's made with Inkscape, I mean, you could totally ask
oh yeah.
about that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's got a bit of time.
Yeah.
It ended a bit early, so yeah.
It ended 10 minutes early. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Let's look at. Let's if anyone wants, you can put your yes. Nice. I'll stream all the drawings. I can stream all of them. Let's do odd coder. That's odd coders. I could stream that one. So I'll open it here. I'll just where did I download it? Oh wait, it's not working. The world. Sorry about this. I'm having some trouble opening the files for some reason. Okay, here we go. So we have odd coders submission, the Krusty Krab. This is a nice looking logo. DLC. And we saw Elizabeth's submission. We saw Karina's submission. So yeah, this is very nice. Thank you all for sharing your time and listening to this workshop. Hope you all learned something. And yeah, that'll be it. Go do something else, I guess. All right. Thank you, everyone. Katie, do you have something to say? Any questions?
Yeah, that's about it. Thanks again, Peter, for hosting this workshop. This is a pretty good crash course. Lots of cool stuff presented, and I really like the logos and stuff that were created. They're all really
Very
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you guys have any other questions, or if you want to see some of his other work, maybe Peter, you can just switch your screen to some of the work you've done. I don't know.
I think that's
But yeah, now's the time to ask him. But of course, if you have any other questions about Inkscape or you need help or something, Peter is on the Discord server.
yeah, I'm always on Discord. If anyone needs help with Inkscape, has any questions with Inkscape, you can either DM me or just put a question up on the Discord.
Yeah. So just feel free to ask him. You can in the Q&A channel. Just ask, and you can ask me in the Q&A channel, and I'll get him. So whatever works for you guys. So yeah, now's the time for questions. You can just, I guess, turn on your mic and ask, or
also I could switch to something like the XdHacks stuff that I've been working on. Like did you guys see the global round part that I was working on a while ago?
No, it's still on the Krusty Krab logo, which is very cool, actually.
I will now share another one. Screen. Okay, so you can see here's some of the stuff that I was working on. The global round card for XdHacks, and we have this is the Hong Kong buildings I still have in the top. But these are all made on Inkscape by myself. And just a lot of layering, a lot of flat design stuff. So yeah, that's cool. If anyone of you have questions, just feel free to ask right now. I am very much free. Oh yeah, my Discord is Microsoft Edge. And I have this blue profile picture. Blue octahedron profile picture. No questions? No questions at all.
Okay, well, if that's the case, thanks
Yeah.
again, Peter. Again, if you guys have
No
any other
problem.
questions, you can
Thank
reach
you
out
for
to me on
letting me do
Discord.
this.
For sure.
And thank you everyone for your time. Okay, I think I'm gonna head off now.
Yeah, that was